wondering why I'm using a microphone, I'm pretty loud on my own. But our listening sessions get recorded and they get sent, to those attendees who couldn't make it tonight, and they are made available. So we want to make sure that we're loud and clear. I know there's a microphone, oops, I removed it. There's a microphone on the other end so that we can get you guys captured in the audio as well. So again, thank you, for dedicating this evening to us. We really appreciate the interest for the Matanza program. We appreciate the interest in TCEDC and projects and programs that we have going on. And want to let you guys know that monthly listening sessions are starting again now in October, so we will meet once a month. We haven't decided on, the first Wednesday, the second Wednesday. Right now we're meeting on the first Wednesday of the month, so maybe that could be a continual thing. But we would like to share, new updates, share events that are happening through the month, and just review all the projects and programs that TCEDC has going on. I'm going to take some time to kind of just remind everyone and refresh people's minds what TCEDC is all about. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit community development company operating out of Taos, New Mexico. Have been in existence for over 35 years, and our mission is supporting the food, land, water, and cultures of the people of northern New Mexico. So we try to encompass everything under food and ag sectors. Right now I am fortunate enough to count on a great staff, so I'd like to introduce them. We're actually going to tag team presentation as well, so it's not a one-woman show, it's a couple of women running this show. So I want to make sure that they all take credit, for what they do and take their piece of the puzzle, and their success is our success. So, having a great team has definitely made a big difference in what TCEDC has been able to accomplish. So, first and foremost, I have my right hand and my left hand, Joella Mondragon. She's assistant to the director. She's been with us, a little over 3 years, but seems like she's been here lifelong because she's born and raised in Taos. And every time we go into a room, the half that Joella doesn't know, I know. So between the two of us, we probably know everybody in the room wherever we go, and that's been great, So we always have someone to count on everywhere we go. Next we have Patty Armstrong, which is our communications person. She's great. She documents all of this for us, makes sure that these things are available, through our website. She, invites you, helps you RSVP, does our QR codes, everything and anything communication. So thank you for all you do. Next we have Jessie Hook, which is our projects manager / we haven't found a title that encompasses everything that she does as well, but she's great at everything she does. Has been with us for 6 months, 7 or 8 months. There you go. Time flies when you're having fun. And so, she'll be doing part of a presentation that we worked on a PowerPoint presentation to kind of show all faces of the Mobile Matanza, including the business plan, the development, the project standing, and any and all information with the Matanza. So we will thank her for it. And we have Abby Warman, which has been with us for 2 months. So she's an outreach person. She's someone who you're going to hear, updates from. She will be calling on you to, get information on need. And between her and Jessie, they're going to introduce, a mentorship program and talk a little bit about our resource center that is available here at TCEDC as well. And then we'll have Jessie move forward with the presentation. I think we'd like to know who's in the room as well, so if I can have you guys introduce yourselves, that would really be great.
Hey, my name is Taylor Martin. I'm with the Taos Community Foundation.
Yay.
I am Jody Powers, and I'm here representing the Alliance for Local Economic Prosperity.
Hi, I'm Kaya, and I have a property down in Rochester, and I'm a proud owner of a lot of prairie dogs.
processing business.
I'll talk to you on the phone.
Don't do it.
I recognize my brother's name, so it's kind of wild.
Hi, I'm Paula Martinez, and I'm a local Black Angus rancher. We have our farm our ranch right down the road from here on Camino de Medio.
Hi there, my name's Tom Mascareña, and I'm also married to Paula. We grow and raise Black Angus livestock, high altitude beef, and we're just looking to expand and cut out the middleman, make some more money and share our good product with local people.
Good evening, my name is Lawrence Gallegos, and I'm a native New Mexican, but I've been gone since 1976, and I ranched in southern Colorado, and now I'm working with the National Grazing Lands Coalition, helping ranchers basically to put regenerative practices on their properties.
Great, thank you.
Hello, I'm Nadia Cabrera Mazio. I'm Executive Director of Not Forgotten Outreach.
Sam Richardson, I wear many hats, Taos Walking Tours, Taos Art Collective, Taos Muse.
My name is Haley Goodweiler, and I work with Lawrence Gallegos for the National Grazing Lands Coalition. And my job is to shake up the narrative of what people think about livestock production.
Yes.
My name is Dylan Crab, I'm a photographer. I'm just here to document the use of it. Spotlights.
All righty, well, thank you, and we'll shift it off to Jessie and Abby to talk about the mentorship program. We'll leave this one on the audience side.
Abby, you want to come up? Hi, everybody.
Sorry.
So we're really excited to present a new program based on regenerative ranching. And this is going to be the first year of the program. It's a 3-year grant with USDA. And the past several months have been planning a lot of interviews with farmers, a lot of outreach, and a lot of throwing around different ideas. And with the confines of the grant and how it was written before both of our time, we've come up with a really exciting program that Abby will tell you more about.
Yeah, so it'll be really short. It's only going to be 40 hours, which will be really helpful for people who are working full-time and want to get a deeper understanding of ranching. It could be people who have been ranching for, who have never been ranching, or people who have been ranching for fewer than 10 years. So even people with their own operations who are looking to connect with a mentor and get access to free TCEDC workshops and trainings, as well as financial management and business development trainings. And the applications will open in November, and then the program will start in March and then wrap up in August. So we're looking at most likely about 5-6 hour days on a ranch with a mentor. And both mentor and mentee will receive a $550 stipend and a $600 gas card.
And 10 hours of training in partnership with Alianza Agricultura de Taos.
Do you have to be currently operating?
You do not have to be to apply.
Or mentor or mentee.
Mentee.
To be, yeah. You don't have to be currently, but with hopes to be.
Yeah. All right, goats?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think the cow will keep themselves, right?
So will these mentees work alongside us, like cleaning ditches, irrigating, bringing in hay, feeding cows, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. And we're limited by funding for us to be able to pay people enough for their time. It looks like only 30 hours on ranch. And so to make sure that that time is valuable for the mentors as well, that's why they get a stipend, because training can take up a lot of time. But that's why also we plan to start it in March, so we start with ditch cleaning and then run through the season. Unfortunately, it has to wrap up. yeah, it has to wrap up in August just because of also how the funding cycle ends then. But it'll wrap up and then there'll be a little graduation ceremony at the Ranchers Forum, which is also the food fiesta.
Cool.
Yeah, and we're hoping that people, when people connect with a mentor, then potentially that relationship can continue past this structured program, and maybe they can even be hired on as an employee who now is already trained, or just, you know, some sort of mutual relationship.
That's it.
One reason why earlier it was called just a ranching mentorship program or beginning farmers and ranchers program for mentorship, and we decided to call it regenerative because what we're hoping is that will be the exchange of ideas, right? Traditional, generational practices of ranching and farming, as well as the new tactics that USDA right now is really pushing, which are the climate smart ag and regenerative ranching techniques. So the hope is that not only is it a sharing of labor for one's own operation, but an exchange of ideas. So we will be putting a webinar out and also disseminating like a full description of the program before the applications open through email and calling people up to make sure if they have any questions we can answer them. So we're really excited. Paula?
Do you happen to have, like, in regards to the amount of mentors and then the amount of mentees, and you're gonna match them, or how will that work in regards to the matching
Great question.
stuff? And how many are you gonna cap, because you're limited with the funding, correct?
Yeah, that is a good question. There'll be 10 mentors and 10 mentees, and we've drafted these applications or interviews for both mentors and mentees. And like Jessie was saying with the webinar, we're interested to get more input from ranchers on both our like vetting process for the mentees and also the curriculum and structure of the program itself. But we're really hoping to match people with, you know, interest, knowledge, and capability, and also just like personality, experience, yeah, but also personality and learning preferences.
And location.
And location, yeah, definitely, especially if it's younger people, yeah.
What age group are the mentees gonna be?
Hey.
Yeah, they can be 16 up. So,
That's
yeah.
illegal.
Yeah. They could be 16, they could be 30, they could be 40, they could be 60.
Yeah, it's pretty loose.
It's like not that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it's people who have never ranched before could be mentees, but also people who have been ranching for 9 years could be mentees. So anyone in that range.
That's where you get the regenerative, where that way different minds can come together and collaborate, and different ideas can come and work throughout. Yeah.
Regenerative is exactly what you were saying, Paul, is equal parts social as it is environmental. So we have these handouts when you leave. They have description of like what are the requirements to be either a mentor or mentee, as well as what you see on the screen. So
The time commitment, I see you have 10 hours of free training, and then is there a certain amount of hours that they have to be working with the mentors? And what kind of?
yeah, it's 40 total, so 10 in training and then 30 on the ranch. Yeah, which isn't a ton, but it's kind of the hope to like kickstart relationships.
That's a week.
I'll take it. You know, like,
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to connect with people.
Yeah, and again, like if you're working full time or if you have your own operation, it's just like one Saturday every month for 5 months. You go and you work in someone else's ranch and you get to connect with them and hear about their style of doing things, and then follow it up with a workshop here to kind of solidify that knowledge.
And the training side of it is on regenerative or climate smart practices.
Yeah, and like financial modeling too, for if you want to sell your beef. The combination of things.
The marketing stuff. So do you have people that are going to come in and do the training, or?
Yeah, exactly. Combination. Mostly partnering with people who are experts in their field in that regard.
Yeah, and we've had, they'll be very similar to workshops that we had this year, and a lot of those recordings can be found on the TCEDC YouTube, so if you are interested in checking out any of those workshops to see what they're like, you can go to YouTube and see there.
Could it help with getting water to the land or no?
What was the question?
So ditch.
That's
He's good.
That's
Yeah.
what rent for?
You could plan, if you meet with your mentee once a month, you could plan for the hardest work. That one day.
I mean, I'll rent the equipment, I'll figure it out, but
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Right.
it's just getting through and just having other people involved.
And if you would be a mentee,
Yeah.
you would be helping someone else with their projects.
Oh, dang, so
Yeah.
how do I get, that's,
It could be either or.
Well, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's feedback that we could integrate.
Right.
But we will have a webinar on this, and like ample opportunity for in-person conversation. Don't want to take up too much time from the rest, but really welcome the feedback like that and further questions. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
The only other thing to put on your agenda, raise your hand if you're planning to come to this. Nice, Abby. Woo! All right. Next Monday, in partnership with Alianza, Topsoil and Water, there is going to be a cover cropping specific event here in this room with dinner again. Super delicious, and we're going to be hearing from the experts on cover cropping and the Topsoil and Water program, which gives you free seed. So you can call Tyler or email him to RSVP. And then, who subscribes to our monthly newsletter? Anyone not do that yet?
but then the last thing that you guys sold some yesterday.
We got, yeah, we got. I got that. So, passing it back to Mercedes.
So there you go. So basically, I wanted to have Joella introduce some of our partners. Again, TCEDC is not on its own. We've got lots of partners. We have a lot of people who are stepping up to the plate to help us out with this. And we definitely want to recognize them. So, Joella.
They're the reason actually that we're able to do a lot of this stuff that Jessie and Abby were talking about, because we partner, it's a partnership called De La Tierra a la Cosecha, and it consists of 6 of us, organizations that get together 2-3 times a month sometimes, and we collaborate. We have Alianza Agricultura de Taos with Jillian Joyce. We have Judy Torres with Taos Valley Acequias Association, Darian Fernandez with Taos Land Trust, Will Jarenko Wright, who is our Ag Extension Officer through NMSU, and Nick Benavides through Analytical Solutions, and each one plays a vital part. One is agriculture, one is the acequias, one is the environment, one is cattle and grazing, the other one is land easements and things like that. So when we get together to do this, we can write grants that actually help all of us. Instead of having one person write a grant and then nobody gets anything.
Or compete for the same
funds.
funds.
For the same things. So we get together and we do this, and we have found that it just really enhances every program that we do, every workshop that we do, because it's really all the same goal.
Yeah.
It's our land, our waters, our food, everything. So we found that we are stronger together than we are separate. So because of that, that funding, we're able to offer this resource center that we have. We're able to offer all these workshops free to our community. I mean, everything is paid for. We had our orchard tours. We've had just so much going on. We just had apple pressing. We had, we just...
At the Talpa Community Center.
At the Talpa Community Center.
And at San Cristobal with...
So it's just
Every Friday.
really great, yeah.
Every Friday, we're not
Well, no,
pressing
we're
every
not there.
Friday. No.
But the farmers, you come here.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work.
it is a lot of work, but again, because we do it together, it makes it that much better and a better camaraderie with our agricultural community. So anybody that wants to step in and help, we more than welcome you, because it is a lot of work. But Abby and Jessie have put, and Jessie has put this PowerPoint together for you all on the Matanza, and kind of breaking it down for you to show you the pros, the cons that we've faced along the way, and kind of what our solutions could be. So, but yet at the same time, the importance of this program. This program is a huge necessity in this community, in this entire area. So I will now let Jessie take over.
All right.
I think, is she ready? And that's it.
Do I have any Salazar?
No. Broccoli, but not something.
Got some broccoli.
Just kidding.
No.
Thank you, Joella and Mercedes. That was wonderfully put. Couldn't be here without our partners. And this is a photo from Tanner's even in it over there.
Yeah. They're partners.
One of the award ceremonies. We also have to mention another really central partner to this endeavor is Lucas Salazar. He was here earlier today. He is the owner and operator of Salazar Meats in southern Colorado and will be transitioning to be our meat processing manager, which we could not be more excited about. So this, as you all know, is about TCEDC Matanza. Here we have an image of the original mobile Matanza truck. And what was the original? Gilbert Suazo, circa 2010. So we have to give credit to history for this, but here you can see an image of the layout for the new facility, which will be out near the county operations building on the highway towards the bridge. So let's see, the problem that we're trying to solve with the Matanza facility is multifaceted, right? We're all familiar with how our supply chains for food lately are getting more and more consolidated over time. Usually big businesses control the majority of the supply chain. We saw this in COVID-19, right? Remember when just all of those shelves were totally blank with food and people were in lines for hours waiting. There's also insufficient service availability in the area. Raise your hand if you're familiar with that. Ranchers, looking at you. Yeah, so if you're a rancher in northern New Mexico, at an average, you're having to travel 100 to 400 miles to take your cattle to be processed. And that's a huge cost burden for our local ranchers. Like I was alluding to, this project isn't just for TCEDC, it's trying to address the cost for ranchers. So you have the cost of time, you have the cost of business, and you have the cost of culture. If ranchers are spending the majority of their time traveling to get their beef processed, that costs money and affects business, and then also affects people's motivation to continue ranching. There's a lot of love in ranching from the many conversations I've had. I did not grow up ranching. I was very new to this system. I'm a business development specialist. I had no idea about ranching. And over the many, many conversations I've had with ranchers, such as Tommy and Paula here, I've learned that people don't ranch just for business. They ranch for the love of ranching. They ranch for the love of the land. They ranch for the love of their family and their culture and their neighbors. But how wonderful would that be if they could also ranch because it would be financially viable? Here we've drawn out a slight competitive landscape, and I'm sure you're familiar with this if you're thinking about opening up in Farmington too. A lot of current processing facilities are scattered far and wide across the state and not that close. One of the things about outsourcing meat processing is that if you outsource meat processing to Colorado, all the economic benefit stays in Colorado rather than necessarily being in New Mexico. And New Mexico already is an economically limited state when it comes to options. It would be really wonderful to find ways to keep those finances within our communities. As I mentioned earlier before, within my calculations, average miles that ranchers travel from chows to processing facilities are between 140 to 400 miles round trip. So the solution is our meat processing facility. This was taken several months ago on a beautiful golden hour day. Of the 2 Friesla units that we have installed over at the location I mentioned earlier. This is, again, to benefit hundreds of years of tradition and to feed community, culture, and that's supposed to say economy. There it is. All right, so we see a lot of benefit for many different facets of our economy. Obviously, the ranchers and the livestock. The decreasing of travel time by 400 miles, that's huge. We want to see increased profit margins. Our calculations are between 5 and 10%, and herd expansion also. Right now, a lot of people are limited with their herds because they don't see the market for it, and it's too much of a burden to actually get their cattle processed. We also are really passionate about the improved quality of life for the animal, because right now, those animals, not only the ranchers burdened by having to travel so far, but the animals get exponentially more stressed. There's also a lot of benefit to local markets. We've seen a lot of new restaurants pop around town. We know a lot of great grocery stores that continue to source locally. Shout out to Pat Pacheco, who sold out of his meat at Sid's Market recently and is going to be restocking there soon. And there are also the schools and the hospitals and the individual consumers that will seek to benefit. Patty designed a really wonderful benefit of local grass-fed beef flyer that you can find over there. Economy isn't just finances, right? It's also the health of our community. So if there is a demonstrated evidence that local beef is healthier for you, then we're 100% in support of that. All right, so another thing we're really excited about is that the jobs that this will create. There's going to be specialty meat cutting and processing jobs available with no higher education required and an estimated salary of $45,000 or more. We also see a lot of potential in carcass maximization markets. This was a new term to me, but essentially it's the idea of markets that utilize every part of the animal possible. So the tallow, the leather, the bone. I hear that there's a thrift store next to Sid selling cow skulls for $300 plus, so you never know. And the solution, which Joella spoke so wonderfully to, is the benefit to land and water and those collaboratives that help make this happen. So we're really excited that this program isn't just about processing cattle, it's also about working with farmers and ranchers so that every element of their business can be more viable and resilient, from the land to the water to the bank account. And we can't help but shout out Taos County and the town of Taos as well. I think some of you might have been in attendance at the fiesta, but who's heard of the local economic multiplier effect? We got one! That makes sense. So the idea is that when you buy local, that money is much more likely to make a positive impact on another person who's maybe right down the street from you, who's also going to maybe spend that money locally and continue investing in one's community. Rather than, I mean, we all go to Walmart. If you don't go to Walmart, I'm surprised. I go to Walmart. But that money doesn't have nearly the amount of impact as it would if you say, don't go to Walmart to buy your beef, but invest in that half a cow with the rancher down the road. This I like to bring up because I think it's kind of interesting that this project isn't just about Taos. It's also an example that people around the world could use as something that they could look to increase the resiliency of their own economies. So these little colorful blocks are from the UN SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals. Essentially, the United Nations came together and said, like, what do we want to do over the next however many years? I think it's until 2030. What do we want to make sure that all of our initiatives align on? And essentially it was like, okay, all these things that we know are good for humanity, like no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, decent work and economic growth, and responsible consumption and production, which is the idea of using the most of your resources. And then partnerships for the goals. And I would say, just from what we've presented on so far, that this project addresses all of those colorful blocks up on the screen. Alrighty, so getting to the business model, what we're probably all here for. We're going to have a few different things available for folks interested in the Matanza. We're going to have the mobile Matanza. The idea is that that will be on-site slaughter, only available for tribal partners for the most part. And then we're going to have the stationary Matanza, which was that blueprint you saw earlier, and the processing, and we'll also have sales available. What that looks like is that TCEDC can buy your cow from you and sell it for you if you would like. We'll also have delivery and distribution available for those who would like that service. All right, so some of the average products that we will have are beef, pork, bison, and then the lamb, sheep, and goat. If you want TCEDC to sell for you, we have a limit of 1,000 pounds or greater for your beef. But the others, since they're the small to medium, well, not the bison, but the pork and the lamb and the sheep and the goat are in the small to medium category, they don't have a weight limit.
Does it have to, like, a certain age or anything? Like, do they age out, or, I don't know.
The question was on the age. I don't believe so. I don't think they age out.
And I think the 1,000-pound requirement is by Lucas because the processing time for the actual cut and wrap of an animal, is of economic benefit at 1,000 pounds or more. Something less than that.
Weight?
Excuse me?
Is that per animal, is that a live weight?
Yes.
That'd be live
Yeah, so that's live weight, exactly. So 1,000 pounds or more. Anything less than that, you're looking at smaller steak size, you're looking at smaller, so that's where that recommendation comes from. Did you have something, sir?
No, that was my question.
Okay.
And I have something to add to that. The marbling,
Yeah.
like the grass finished, or even some people will grain finish at the end, but from 12 to 1,300 is when the best marbling occurs. And so a lot of times when, if you ever heard anybody, if it's grass finished, it's a little tough. What happens, they don't wait and finish them enough. So that from 1,200 to 1,300 is the optimum weight.
Thank you for that.
You bet.
Thank you for the questions.
Not only that, but you could buy bulls that have those traits in them. Ribeye area, marbling, tenderness, and that all trickles down to your offspring, or his offspring.
Genetics.
Yes,
Yeah.
genetics and wolves. Do people eat goat? Oh, I'm sorry.
Do people like goat?
Is it called, what's it called?
Is there a market for goat?
What's goat called?
Absolutely.
Just goat? There's not another name, I'm sorry. For my ignorance, sorry.
Yeah, people like goat, for sure.
Right, there's a market, yeah, right, I just haven't
Yeah.
seen it at the store,
Yeah. If you go to John Bo's in Santa Fe, they use a lot of goats to stew. It's really good. Shout out to John Bo. All right. So numbers. If you like numbers like I do, some things we're really excited about is that between the phases of the facility, we will be providing 8 to 12 skilled jobs, 100 to 400 miles saved per ranch, 25 to 50 cattle capacity weekly, and $800,000 annually in the community. And that was just the projected numbers from cattle. Here we did another competitive landscape analysis. So I called a bunch of these people up and I was like, hey, what are your prices? Or stalked them on their website. And we have a lot of like the names that you're probably familiar with and what they charge for their slaughter fee and their processing fee. We are going to be very competitive with that. The only thing that is a lot higher will be our mobile Matanza fee, and that just makes sense with the extra effort of taking the unit, the facility to the location. And that will not offer processing fee or processing on site. It will have to be taken to the facility to process. So yeah, more numbers.
What's the location by the airport?
By the airport.
Yes.
So that's gonna.
The question was on the location, and it's next to the airport. Also, I'm really glad y'all are asking questions, and please continue, because I also have a lot of slides in the index, or the appendix, and hopefully have answers. So, something that I added today and yesterday. Abby and I have interviewed a lot of ranchers over the last couple months, and have came up with some average numbers. So between all the ranchers we've surveyed in northern New Mexico, we have an average herd size of about 81.
Average annual animals processed was about 20, and average weight of processing at the moment is 129 pounds.
1,029.
Yeah, thank you very much. The 129 pounds would be a tiny cow. Patty would be interested. Patty really wants a mini cow. If I do, I do.
As a pet, not to eat.
As a pet,
You know.
Patty's vegan.
I'm gonna make a petting zoo. Come on over.
Something we found really interesting, and I think Tommy and Paula talked to this, but ranchers at the moment who are using sale barns is a little over half. So sale barns, for those who aren't familiar, are when, for whatever reason, you can't hold on to your cow for very long, or maybe the price is just right, and so you take your cow to a sale barn, they buy it for a good price, and then they continue to finish that cattle on their own. That's my understanding as a novice to the ranching world until this year. Yes, Lawrence.
Yeah, is that the average producer is selling 20 animals or processing, or is that how many?
Yeah, that's the average amount of animals processed in a year per producer.
Per producer.
Per rancher?
Yes.
But like that's coming from a list of people that went from like I process 1 cow a year to I process like 200. So numbers are funny like that.
What area does that cover?
Sorry?
What area of Colorado is that survey?
Ooh. You know, I should do a map actually about like and locating where everybody is, but it's mostly been within like Albuquerque northward in New Mexico.
Do you really have that many that are actually processing their animals, or is this mostly, most of them are cow-calf operations?
Mm-hmm. Most people will process a portion of their herd and then take another portion to a sale barn. Yeah. So it's a little mix.
How many ranchers were surveyed?
There were 33 that we've reached out to, 33 businesses. And the list continues to get longer, and we would love even more information of folks if you have them for us.
And this is just in Taos County?
This is kind of like from Albuquerque onwards, so all counties within northern New Mexico. Yeah, great questions. So the other percentage we have is that ranchers who are selling D2C, which is fancy terminology for direct to consumer, is about 43%. You have a lot of people who have just been handling their own sales, and that's great. But we would love to see that number in particular increase, as well as the average weight of processing increase. All right, so something that we asked a lot of ranchers was, what are barriers to keeping your cattle for longer periods of time instead of selling them to the sale barn, or barriers to keeping them so they fatten up and weigh more? More than half of the folks said that feed costs were exponential and prevented them from seeing it as a worthwhile investment. So that's something that us as a team have talked about in ways that TCEDC can support, and that's also something that our partners are looking to support with regenerative agriculture and making sure that folks' lands, either owned or leased, are as profitable in feed as they can be with grass. So, all right. So something really interesting was one thing that we're passionate about, and you've probably heard Marcella speak on, is that we really want to get this healthy local beef into institutions, right, in the schools. At the moment, only 4% of the people that we've surveyed, which means one person, is eligible to sell to institutions. That's because of a few just finicky things. You have to sign up for different programs and get liability insurance in order to do that. That's a number we would love to see increase, and something TCEDC is posed to help people with. Let's see.
There's a cost to that? Would TCEDC help with that?
Would there be a cost for those services?
Well, in order to sell to institutions, like, for example, you can become part of New Mexico Grown.
Exactly.
You can go to the different institutions, whether it's hospitals and things like that. There's a cost to get in there. So in order to qualify, there's a cost to the producer.
Mm-hmm.
Is there
Yeah, the
for that?
details on the cost of the program, I'm not as familiar with. Mercedes might have the answers, but we also have New Mexico Grown come pretty frequently to talk on their.
Yeah, so New Mexico Grown is one of our partners under, these grants, and basically, the assistance that TCEDC would be able to give would be referrals. But we look at referrals very differently than most institutions do. So referrals for us are hold you by the hand and take you there kind of thing. It's not, oh, here's Joe's number, call him and see what you can get. We actually make the connections, we actually follow through on those connections and make sure that you actually did benefit from the referral that was made. That's part of the reasoning behind the resource center and making sure that those things are followed through. Now, the participation part of the equation has always been TCEDC understands that we have to make sure that the rancher can afford to sell to the institutions, because the institutional price of what a rancher can make is the lowest on the totem pole, okay? So the schools are only going to be able to afford to buy ground beef or roasts, okay? And they're going to get the lowest money, for their beef, for their ground beef or their roast. How we are going to do that is to make sure that you get into the retail markets and to the wholesale markets. So basically these direct-to-consumer sales that you talk about, those are the highest within our area. Right now we're talking with a collaboration with Taos Ski Valley and their concierge type of services that there's people who come to Ski Valley who pay a shopper to come shopping for them while they're here for the holidays. And so these shoppers will have our lists of ranchers that will be able to provide local, fresh beef, pork, bison, and any cuts that are offered to them. That's how we're going to be able to help you afford the institutional need. Obviously for TCEDC, the big interest and the big take on this is the institutional market. We want to make sure that our schools are getting that local beef and that our kids are getting the benefit of that local beef. And so in order to do that, we understand we have to be able to afford you that. The other way that TCEDC can step in is we're distributing information of grants that become available here and there to the actual producers. So when those grants become available, information goes up to our networks to help you identify those, and if you need assistance with grant writing on those, we will help find someone who can assist with writing a grant for you to be able to. Chances are, it'll be one grant for several growers, so it's not like we're going to have to write a lot of proposals to do something like that. So again, part of the resource center is to kind of sit down, butt our heads together and try and figure out what the assistance for the producers is and to get there. Again, this is a collaborative. This is something that we're going to get to together. We don't know what you guys are going to need, and we're not going to know specifics on anyone unless you guys bring them to us, These listening sessions are exactly for that. So the people who do attend, will have not only the latest up-to-date information, but also, the new information that has been rolled out by any of our other partners and USDA and our federal, partners as well.
Right. Yeah, I just have one thing to add. In the rest institution, and the reason the ground beef is less because a producer has to compromise some of their primals and all that to go into the hamburger. So what's good about it is being able to educate these producers and saying, okay, we want to see your cattle that are over the 30-month range,
exactly,
and in the 4 to 5 year range, and then those are the ones that you can go ahead and ground up. The ones under 30, you can actually then finish them for premium. So it's something that...
It's all education, and it's all part about informing and getting the information out there. We work with, prime ranchers, we work with beginning ranchers, so it's these type of mentorship programs that we're trying to develop that are going to help make those connections and make it the most viable for everyone.
Well, yeah, and exactly what both of you were speaking to is you want to diversify your products. You want to have premium beef, you want to have institutional beef, maybe you want to have some prairie dogs on your market. you gotta diversify. Key.
Prairie dogs.
Is there anything from Mr. Salazar or USDA concerning vaccinations?
Great question. I just talked to him about this today. So with USDA, we're only going to be offering USDA, not for sale, because it has to all be USDA that comes through. And the only stipulation they require is that you don't give your animal antibiotics 30 days before processing. And all they do is require you to sign a piece of paper saying that you did that. So.
Yikes, really?
Yeah.
Of course.
Jeez. Question.
Well, I was just going to say in our, the way we work at National Grazing Lands Coalition, if we're trying to, whether it's marketing or even selling at a certain point, we would try and get all the ranchers to use the same vaccination protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So that way it's easier to get ranchers together and get them better prices for their animals.
Collaboration makes us stronger.
To say more on that, is it comes down to a consistent traceability of the people that we deal with. So once our name gets out there and people see that Western Grazing Network,
which is who Elliot is with.
Yeah, then they see our label on there, and then they'll know how our producers really start from the time the cattle hits the ground forward, and how it's been handled and treated and fed and so forth. So very, very important, and that's where the producers will get more margin there.
Yeah, we have a lot of experts in the room, so thank you, Elliot and Lawrence and Paula and Tommy and everybody for being here. I hope you all sit and chat and exchange contacts and get to know each other. So let's see, something that I was really excited to see is that at least 22% of people said that they would want to expand their operations to increase their market potential. So although maybe they only have like 9 head of cattle at the moment, they're looking to expand and wanting to do that if the market is there. So some of y'all might be curious about like how are we doing. This was a photo, I think taken by Patty, when it was being installed. We have the property, 5 acres and a 50-year lease. Congratulations to those 2 ladies over there. Woo! Yeah, definitely needs some applause. The infrastructure, which also requires some applause. The hanging cooler, the cut and wrap, and the Matanza truck. And they've already talked to some other folks who are in the process of getting the other parts of the facility out there. We're developing the team, and couldn't be more excited about that. And we're developing our partnerships as well as more funding. So if any of y'all know some billionaires that are looking to invest in local community projects, please put them our way. This is a little bit about some of our phasing. And, you know, when it comes to collaborative projects, long-form projects, these things sometimes shift and change. But what we'd really like to look at is everything that's been accomplished already in phase 1, between millions of dollars of funds procured, land acquired, facility designed. It might just look like a drawing on a piece of paper, but that takes a lot of work and collaboration and thought. Community engagement is another point that takes a lot of energy and focus and connections, which these 2 women over here have. And they've put a lot of effort from February earlier this year to protests on the street to showing everybody what the value of this project is and how it is going to benefit our community. Partnership development also takes a lot of time and thought and passion, and then the infrastructure install is ongoing. So yeah, I have more slides about some of these things, including wastewater, if anyone would like to see later on. Funding, this is a little graph reflecting on what we've got so far in terms of the grants acquired for the project. And our path forward, we could not be more excited about. Again, I want to say you never know what's going to happen, but it's going to happen as fast as it can. We appreciate the patience and support of everybody in this room as it's happened. So, let's see. Thank you very much for being here. Shout out to all of our sponsors and partners. Questions?
I'm sorry about passing some language.
No, Lawrence, no apologies.
Now, some of the funding that you showed up there, and I'm assuming that some of it is coming this next session and stuff like that. And I just think that from what I know that's happening with the legislature this year, especially at the Mexico legislature, we're going to have a lot of new
legislators.
Not a lot of new people out there legislating. And so I think it would be really good that you decided to get some of these farmers and ranchers that you're going to be working with and get them out to the
Don't say the word, don't say the word. You can't lobby as a nonprofit, no.
If you want to hire a lobbyist, that's one thing, but I think it's more effective if you get the grassroots people out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And, let me give you an example though, because we had for 5 years it took us to get what ended up being the Land of Enchantment Heritage Fund that's going to help farmers and ranchers out there. It took us 5 years to get it passed, and it actually took 6 years before it was funded. Fully funded. So, but we tried, and we were doing it the hard way for the first 4 years, and then we didn't get it through. And then we got a really good coalition, but we had a group of school kids that went to one of the hearings, and it was, they thought it was going to get through really easy, and because it was the kids and everything, that it passed by one vote. Otherwise, we would have had to go the next year.
Do we bring baby cows?
But we had middle school and high school kids over there that was saying that they needed it, and that's what we need. We need people that they know that they're behind it. So we need people at the legislative session. That's all I'm trying to say.
Thank you very much.
How do y'all deal with the awful?
With the awful? Yeah, so that is ongoing in plans. We have a partnership with NMSU, and they have some really innovative ideas of what we can do with the offal for composting and making sure that we're utilizing it to the best of our abilities.
The unedible parts of an animal.
That's what you call it.
Awful. O-F-F-A-L.
Kind of funny, huh?
The parts, the liver.
That's a great scrap.
It's the good stuff, but we don't see it on the grocery store shelves for whatever reason.
What happens, part of my ignorance, I'm actually not from here originally. I've only been here like a month and a half. I'm originally from Washington. And my wife and I, my soon-to-be ex-wife and I were running a butcher shop up there. And all we do is I pull my truck up, the slaughter truck up next to our dumpster. Got empty 3 times a week.
Yeah.
What happens to offal right now?
That's not possible here in New Mexico. And so basically the offal, Lucas pretty much does that at his facility in Colorado as well. And our alternative here is the landfill. So we could, take things to the landfill. It is something that is definitely possible. But that is not the plan. So basically, part of the reason we're out by the airport and out by the landfill is for that reason. But it's also because it's the next manufacturing district. And so basically the development of business out there with the New Mexico Economic Development Department is to develop manufacturing out there. One of the next manufacturing abilities out there is going to be composting. So Taos County is already working on composting, and we're collaboratively looking at the efforts for composting on that. There's already people on the ground, wanting the fat, wanting the hides, wanting the bones. So there's already mechanisms in place that we're going to start implementing even through phase 1. But the ultimate goal is composting and utilizing every piece of that animal in some sort of processing. Wastewater. So wastewater right now is our biggest hurdle. So wastewater right now, we are working with NMSU and Arrowhead Center. And what they are working with and what they are developing is an amoeba. You know, they are currently using it for residential use, and it's already been implemented here in Santa Fe. And so the ability of us, the issue is the blood, obviously. You know, it takes it from being a liquid to actually being a solid. And it's the amount of blood that goes down the drains. And so one of the things that, where culture falls back into play for us here in northern New Mexico, is the capture of that blood. When Lucas processes, he captures at least 80 to 85% of that blood already. Now we have what most locals will know as buruñates, you know, which is, you know, blood pudding. And it's a cultural thing as well. So the capture of blood for us is going to be high on the composting and the reuse of the entire animal. So we're on the table with meeting with the Environment Department, which is the regulating entity for wastewater, with a company in Albuquerque, with Sandia Labs, which is actually who has developed the amoeba, you know, that is being put into practice in Santa Fe, to be able to find the best solution for our wastewater. You know, Lucas, we struck gold when we secured Lucas to run this facility, because he looks at the amount of water that is used when he processes his animals. You know, one of the things that kept coming back at us when the boycott happened, you know, a few months back, was the amount of water you're going to utilize, you know, the out of sight, out of mind issues. But the use of the water, Lucas is very conservative with the use of the water, because he's born and raised, you know, southern Colorado, northern New Mexico corridor. You know, so the use of water for us is not taken lightly at all, you know, so that he can minimize the use of that water, and we can reuse water. Everything environmentally is being looked at. You know, that is why we are taking a little bit longer. That's why we are taking our time to make sure that it is done right. There has been so many facilities that pop up overnight and close up overnight as well. You know, we want to make sure that the efforts that are put, you know, this is taxpayers' money going into this development, because we've received money from the state, we've received money from the feds. We want to make sure that these issues don't become an issue, you know, and that we are looking at how money is spent and wisely as to use of the environment. As a nonprofit entity, we are then able to educate. So regenerative ag for us is high priority as well. We need to educate our ranchers and really inform them of what the benefit to regenerative and healthy soils is. You know, we've been taught to overtill the soil, you know, and that's not what happens now. You know, we have to be environmentally friendly now, you know, and my son for the longest time said, "Oh, Mom, I don't eat beef anymore." Okay, that's fine, it's a choice, you know, you don't have to. And I said, "Well, you know, you're trying to save the cow, is it the animal?" He's like, "No, Mom, it's the environment." "Oh, honey, here, let me bring you to some education, you know, and let me take you, you know, to where you can learn about, you know, the environment." And so again, you know, these are cultural things. That's why it's important when I introduce TCEDC that I introduce the mission as food, land, water, and the cultures of the people of northern New Mexico, because those need to be respected and looked at as well, you know. So we're taking a little bit longer than we should have, you know, but we are taking the time that it is needed, like Jessie said, to do it right, you know. So, and ultimately, I think that, you know, you said you want to start a meat processing. I was like, I wish somebody had told me, what the hell are you doing, you know? Are you sure? What were you thinking, you know? But we've embarked on this. We have commitments to the community. We're doing it for the right reasons, and we want to make sure we do it right. You know, we're embarking with the right partners, you know, like Elliot, you know, which by the way is Lucas's uncle as well. And then, you know, Lawrence, you know, with National Grazing Lands. It's bringing the right people to the table. You know, our local funders, like Taos Community Foundation, you know, make a difference, you know, in being able to not only fund, because it's not only There's times that you were given money and we're like, we don't even have the capacity to accept that money, you know? But it's the word that they put out, the encouragement that they give, and the representation for our people that really makes a difference. That they have some money to throw at you, absolutely, you know? But did you have some? No,
I mean,
okay.
we're super stoked to support it, and we keep going back to the culture, and I think that there's this disconnect. A lot of people that are against or the controversy around it, a lot of it's the transplant communities, and people forget that this is historically a ranching frontier community.
Exactly.
And so, I don't know, I think that great things should take time.
Yeah, it should, yeah.
They should be thoughtful.
I tell Marcette this all the time. I was born and raised here. I would not be a part of a project that was going to hurt this community. I was born here. I was baptized here. I made my first communion here. Went to high school here. Got married here. I have grandparents, aunts, uncles that are buried here. Why would I ever want to hurt this community in any way? I would never be a part of a project like that. This is for the community's benefit, not to take away from it. So that includes newcomers. That includes anybody who comes into this community. It's important for us, like we were talking about the pandemic. Did it teach us nothing? You know, you go to the stores, empty shelves. Because we're off the beaten path, so we're waiting here for shipment after shipment of meat that is really not that healthy for us to begin with, and vegetables and all the produce and everything. With this program, we are self-sustainable. We don't have to worry if another pandemic, not if, when another one hits, we can take care of ourselves. And we have healthy food for our community. But it takes time. Unfortunately, that's the bottleneck, is the funding. It takes time.
Exactly, and I just want to tip my hat to TCEDC because I'll tell you what, we deal with 3 hubs here, well, New Mexico, Colorado, and Arizona. And there's certain communities you go to and they want to put together a slaughterhouse, a facility like this, but I'll tell you what, I just caution myself, it takes a lot of money nowadays. There's so much regulation, and if you don't have grants, and you don't have partners, and you don't have all that, you could end up with just doing something very small, and you can't really impact a lot of people. And that's, I tip my hat to you all, and I'll tell you what, when I was doing my research, once I started with Western Grazing Network, I knew you had hit it spot on, because the radius and the people you'll be able to affect is just incredible. And from that, I mean, the sky's the limit. And even going back to the awful thing, our organization is now partnered up with also Purina, where they deal with the pet treats and that kind of thing. And there's people that want to feed their pets healthy meat. They'll pay high dollar for that. And so all those kinds of things will come into play. And you know, it takes time, but in the beginning of it, it takes that infrastructure, and it takes so much collaboration and so much funding. It's incredible. And I tried to explain that to some group this last weekend, and they think that it can just happen real easy, but it's, as you all can attest to, it takes a while, and it takes money, it takes partners.
I have a question. How are the smells going to be handled?
So we really are not going to have smells. They're self-contained units, and so it's not a brick and mortar facility. So the facility itself is being built, you know, so that there won't be any smell. You know, the amount that we're processing to begin with isn't going to cause, you know, that was part of the issue.
Texas, where
it's not like JBL.
Yeah, well, we're not, and we're not a feeding lot, you know. So yes, you know, the in-place facility will have corrals, you know, but we're only going to hold what's going to be processed for the day, for a day.
Right.
You know, so it'll be a small amount of animals at a time. We're not a feeding lot whatsoever. Yeah. So though that won't be an issue at all.
Cool.
And they are insulated, refrigerated units.
Oh wow.
You know, we'll sign people up for a tour to go look at what's on the ground now. You know, I mean, anyone who wants to sign up for that, we'll take you out there. You know, they're amazing units. The cost says it. You know, I mean, those 2 units that were on the ground were $1.5 million. you know? So half a million each, yeah.
I have a question. Is there any governance over the production of chicharron, or people just do that on their own at home, chicharrones?
Oh, I definitely not an expert.
Well, some of the restaurants do have them.
Well, another thing, I was raised down in South Texas, we eat brains.
Yeah, I think there are definitely some folks on the market for that. In our community, you gave me the number of somebody that's interested in buying.
Oh, yes.
Brain has to go through USDA and direction.
You're gonna get them from the TCEDC Matanza. I wanted to follow up on a few different things. One, just out of the conversation from Mercedes and Joella just now, I think it's very clear how much time and energy and partnership these two women have created over the past few months. So I just wanted to welcome some round of applause. No small feat. And then Elliot was talking about the cost of infrastructure to start something like this. It is no question that it is expensive, but what we're really excited about is that projections that we have, and projections are only projections, right? We never know what's going to happen, is that after all the costs, so salaries, everything that goes into a business, we're going to be making a profit by year 5 consistently. Year 4 goes back in the negative just because of investing in another unit to expand our capacity. But actually by year 2, we're really hoping to be in the green already. So pretty great business model if you ask me. So yeah, this is kind of a snapshot of like what everything costs nowadays. Ain't cheap.
It's not cheap, you know, and again, we don't call it failure. The word failure is not part of the equation. It's an exit plan. So if an exit plan was to be needed for this facility, they're all refrigerated units. And every community needs refrigerated units, you know, so. But again, there is, the word failure is not part of this vocabulary or any of the staff's
We're stubborn old women.
And we're not that old.
We're not that old.
So in the vocabulary list, what about the word helicopter?
Joella has to share this story.
We have the FAQs listed here, frequently asked questions.
I had a gentleman come in when we had all the protests and a lot of the backlash all over the facility. We told him, come in, our doors are open, come in, if you have questions, we're willing to answer whatever questions you have. So it's 7 o'clock at night, somebody comes knocking at the doors. We open up and he says he was really concerned. He heard that we were going to be transporting cows to the facility by helicopter. And I was kind of, didn't really have anything to say. I was like, really? But then I couldn't help myself. I know it was sarcastic, but just at that moment, it was perfect timing. The medevac from the hospital made its turn around here. It does that every night. And I said, well, take cover. I said, that's our first shipment. You know, and I had no idea where they came up with these stories, but that was Jessie's favorite.
They had to make it on the PowerPoint.
Oh, I know, she loved that. I don't believe it either.
But any other questions, any concerns? Again, these are going to happen monthly, you know, and it's just basically updates on where the progress is. Right now, our slated date is fall of 2025. You know, we hope to be having everything in place before then, you know, and operations open, you know, for fall of 2025. Right now, the plan is to do some minimal stuff with the mobile slaughter unit. So our mobile slaughter unit, I hear you, Washington State, so our mobile unit was modeled after the Mariana Islands, you know, from Triban. So Triban is the developer of that mobile slaughter unit, and it was the second in the nation. And so it will have, you know, we'll do small slaughters, and we're hoping to get those done here in the fall. I'm having to turn our facility into 3-phase power here, and obviously I still need to identify some more funding for that. The quote that came in for that to happen was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. So, you know, the question is even, do we want to invest in that, or do we want to just hold off and process until fall of 2025? You know, so those things are being weighed right now. But one thing that we're all about is transparency. So anytime you guys have any questions, you know how to reach us. You know where we're at. We don't go very far, you know, and we're always open to a discussion, you know. There's always, you know, people, you know, that feel like we're not listening, that we're doing whatever we want. We've never said we were the experts in this, but we've vowed that we would bring the experts to the table. You know, and I think that's what we have done. And so, you know, we will continue to do that. We will trickle forward on things. And, you know, as it stands, I think we're making great progress, you know. Facility, you know, anyone like a tour, call us up. We can get a little tour going. You guys can see what's out there already. You know, we have a great facility here. You know, TCEDC isn't only meat processing. You know, we have a commercial kitchen, you know, a value-added kitchen. We help people start their food businesses here. We have food distribution happening through TCEDC already. You know, there's workshops being offered on regenerative ag, orchard, the apple orchard workshops that happen, you know, this end of summer, beginning of fall, you know, so there's a lot of education, training, and resources here at TCEDC. We have open door policy. You guys can stop by, ask questions, visit, get a tour. You know, anything that we can do to assure that you guys are being taken care of as a community, we're here. Thank you guys for your time. We appreciate, you know, you lending us your evening. You know, I hope you enjoyed dinner. You know, that's one thing, dinner and a show. So we've delivered.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.